Hello and welcome to Wiki'd. In today's video I will recreate the 2011 Tokidoki Barbie. I had her on my to-do list for a long time now, and as there's a lot of ground to be covered, let's get right to it. First, remove the head and cut the hair as short as possible. Dunk the head into hot water to soften the glue inside the head and remove the remaining hair. No glue? Repaint the scalp to match the new hair color and you're ready to reroot. One strand at a time. She reminds me of someone. Squeeze some fabric glue into the hair to make sure the hair is not going anywhere. Let's tame that 80s hairdo with some hot water. Detangle the mess and cut the hair to your liking. The tattoos were printed on decal paper and sealed with 2 layers of MSC. Cut them as close as possible to the image as the borders will remain visible. I applied the tattoos off camera as I had some issues through the process, but I managed to put them where I want them. For the shirt, I drew a basic pattern on paper using the doll's body as a reference. You know, my froggy stuff style. Transfer the paper to the fabric. I used some black t-shirt material and make further adjustments as needed. I recommend to make a mock-up first, as my first attempt was too narrow and short. Once everything fits, sew it together by hand or machine. To close the shirt, I decided not to use Velcro but buttons. I think these are called buttons. For the sign on the front, I used masking tape, drew the desired pattern and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. Put it back on the shirt, make sure it sticks well around the edges, otherwise it will have jagged edges. Peel it off carefully before the paint has fully dried and you have an almost perfect pattern. For the skirt and tights, I also used the masking tape method. Some minor adjustments here and there and it fits perfectly. The shoes were a major struggle. I tried watercolor's method but failed horribly, though I used a Sculpt in the end. There's also not much footage of the process, but I might show it again in a later video. The sunglasses were molded in ZBrush and printed on my Formlabs 2 printer. I made molds from the parts with mold putty and cast these in UV resin. Only 4 tries for this one. Once all parts are fully cured, glue them together with some more UV resin. Then add paint. These tiny logos were also 3D printed, painted black and super glued to the frame. For the earrings I used Super Sculpting and pins. After baking, these were painted silver. I then added a dot of hot pink in the center, and after this had dried, a tiny dot of UV resin. This will make it look like gems. For the bag I used heavy cotton fabric and the design was printed on using my inkjet printer. You can find some good tutorials here on YouTube. Cut it out in the shape you want the bag to have and sew it together. For the strap I used thin leather, glued it together and then added the seams using my sewing machine. Then sew it onto the bag. The little unicorn that goes onto the bag was also printed on the inkjet printer. I made a tiny loop from wire and glued it to the back. The front of the badge I covered with UV resin. The belt buckle was also printed on paper. For the embossing I used 3D paint that I painted silver after it was fully cured. The belt itself was made just like the bag strap. To close the belt, I made a hook and eye from wire and glued these to the ends of the belt. After this had dried, I added the buckle using super glue. The bracelets were sculpted in Super Sculpey, from which I made a mold to have them cast in UV resin. After sanding, these were painted and glazed. For the ring, I again turned to my 3D printer. After it was fully cured, I painted and glazed it. Don't forget to make a hole in the doll's hand to hold the ring. Her little cactus companion started out as a ball of aluminium foil. I covered the part where the face is with white Fimo, baked it, and then added the next layer in green Fimo. After baking, I added the ears, tail and feet and baked it again before adding the pre-baked spikes with super glue. Then I painted the face and added the different colors to the spikes. Added UV resin to the eyes and nose before glazing everything. For the leash, or harness if you will, I created a belt buckle from wire and glued it to a strap of leather. This was then glued to another stripe that would go around Bastardino's belly. For the gems on the side, I used silver paint and added tiny drops of UV resin. Same for the upper part of the leash. For added details, I wrapped some thread around it to give it a finished look. All done. Time to dress her. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. You can also let me know if you can find the minor changes I made compared to the original doll. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit the notification button so you won't miss any new videos. See you soon and be inspired. Bye.